Hello, welcome to the Free Cheese, episode 443. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Sellner.
Hello.
Mark Augustiniak.
What's up?
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. Through the watch off, I threw Matt off, I threw Mark off, I threw everybody off. Everything's off. It's all good. We're here this week with another episode, Season 10, Episode 8. Our list continues to grow. This week as we talk Sunset Overdrive, we'll travel back in time, look back at some stories from 10 years ago, look back at some stories from when Sunset Overdrive came out. We've got a kickoff of a month-long segment, Who Would Win in a Fight. We've got a nice bracket challenge for March. Stay tuned for that. And then later on, we'll build a sequel for Sunset Overdrive, rank it, all of the fun. But first, I want to know, what is one of the stupidest things that either of you have done as an adult? I'll kick it off while you think about it. There was a point in time when I needed chicken broth for a recipe. I feel like I've told this story on the podcast, but, you know, here we are, season 10. Who knows anymore? I went to the store, I bought chicken broth, I came home, I opened chicken broth. Wouldn't you know it, the little foil on the inside of the broth cap was already punctured. I went back to the store, I bought two more, just in case. Came back, opened it, one by one, both of them punctured. Went back to the store, bought another one, came back. At that point is when I realized that the tops of chicken broth, or any broth, self-puncture the foil when you twist the cap open. That isn't fully intended by design. I was not getting poisoned by the local grocery market.
Man.
Spent a whole evening of...
I don't remember that one, so it might not have been told recently.
It was when... If I told it, it would have been a long time ago, because this is still in the apartment.
Well, speaking of apartments...
Wouldn't have known that.
When we first moved in here, I had some Italian sausages I wanted to make. I wanted to throw some flavor on there with some jalapenos. So straight up was like, let's just cut up some jalapenos and throw them right into the pan. That was the worst mistake that I endured for like 10 minutes as I was crying and everything hurt and stung. That's probably, at least recently, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever done.
Good oil, yeah. Do habanero next time.
Oh, that's all right. I think I'm good with the jalapeno.
Honestly, man, every day there's always something, you know? Like, it's just an ongoing competition. But for some reason, like, the dumbest thing wasn't that recent, but it was technically in my adult life. Like, I think I was like maybe 19-ish. I was applying for a job, and I'd never done a piss test before. And anxiety ensued. I didn't know what to do. Like, there's a line that you're supposed to fill to. I went over it. So I was like, well, I need to pour some of this out in order to, you know, close it properly, whatever. I pour too much out. Now I'm under the line. And I go to try to scoop some back, and that fucked up the whole thing. And it didn't click.
Toilet water.
It didn't click till after I did it. The second that I was like, you fucking idiot. Like, it was just, I don't know where my brain went for that second. And I've never, like, I've always been afraid to tell that story to anybody. And now there it is in the public.
Now it's everywhere. Well, here's, in your defense, those are intimidating things to do the first time, and no one at any of those facilities are ever kind or polite or patient at all. It's always just like, they expect you to know what to do.
Here you go, do the thing, bye. It's like, what?
Anytime you have a question, they're irritated. So I'm
very neurodivergent, so I need like specific directions with everything almost.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say you pulled an out cold and used the other type of bathroom in the cup.
Oh, no.
It's not the end of the toilet humor this week here on the Free Cheese Podcast, because Sunset Overdrive is filled with all of the fun. Sunset Overdrive, first released October 28th, 2014 for the Xbox One. Developed by Insomniac Games. Published by Xbox Game Studios. If you're one of those new recent Sony fanboys out there, you might be saying, "Nuh-uh." But let me tell you, kids, Insomniac used to not be owned by PlayStation, although had a very long kind of first-party alliance. They were not owned by PlayStation until just a few years ago. So yeah, Sunset Overdrive. Also not the first non-PlayStation game they had made in that decade, but maybe more on that later on. As we do every week, we're going to read the back of the box quote here. Get ready for this one. Rules are meant to be exploded. A contaminated energy drink has transformed most of Sunset City into toxic mutants. For many, it's the apocalypse, but years of playing video games have prepared you not to just survive, but thrive. Welcome to Sunset Overdrive, a high-velocity open-world shooter filled with unconventional weapons, crazed mutants, and massive carnage. Yeah. Would you agree with that after your time with the game, Mark?
The years of playing video games part is an understatement.
Oh, go on.
That is like to me. That is that's the whole game. In a way,
it's just one big video game.
It's that self-aware.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where we want to jump into this, but I don't know. I think it does a lot of neat things. I just think it does a poor job executing a lot of those neat things. Like what was it? Like the character customization. I love that they have so many options with it, but at the same time, you're also very limited. So like, you technically have like 3 faces to choose from, but then you can't pick the eyebrows or like a nose or mouth. It's just like a full set face. So no matter what color hair you have, you're stuck with those eyebrows. You can't do anything about that. And it's like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. And then you see those 3 faces throughout the entire game. Because that's all their characters, just like
all of it, yeah,
like mishmash. And it's like, all right, it's probably
the same, yeah.
Probably just to save time on making characters and stuff. So it's probably easier just like to do that. But no, but like I think its strongest point was definitely like just the way that the gameplay is. You know, they really nailed it with like the traversing and stuff.
Yeah, that like it's fun to move around in the game. Matt, what was your kind of overall impression of Sunset Overdrive?
It's almost like the villain. Let's just keep it in current times. Almost like the villain Two-Face in Batman. Like half is good, half is all fucked up. That's what this what this game is. It's the gameplay. The gameplay I think is almost I dare I say like a 5 out of 5. I like the traveling. I like the shooting. I mean, they're very obvious Ratchet and Clank guns reskinned, but Ratchet and Clank guns are still very fun to play with.
Yeah.
It reminded me it almost reminded me if Tony Hawk had a third-person shooter mechanic to it, and it was good. Like, this is that game. And I had, like, once it clicked as far as traveling, grinding, swinging, wall running. Like, I was doing lines, and that's what I ended up like thinking about as I was playing. I was like, I'm just like constantly finding lines to the next marker in the open world. But then you remember, oh wait, it's an open world. I'm just going to the checkpoint to the marker. Oh, these side quests suck. All right, I'm going to do the main missions. Oh, this mission defense thing is not the greatest thing in the world. Oh, I'm kind of tired of this attitude thing now after 5 hours. It was kind of funny the first hour. Like everything around the gameplay is what holds it back. But playing it is fun. It's fun. I don't know. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I think the point you make of like finding a line is really important in this game, because if you try to move by foot, you are going to have a terrible time in this game. And I think that that became I mean, that was the weak spot. Like, I always kind of ended up on the ground and running just because some of those really chaotic firefights with the ODs, you kind of, I don't know. I felt like I'd want to be more grounded to shoot sometimes, and I had to like really remind myself, like, nope, grind, jump, swing, fly, whatever, wall run.
Yeah, I guess they didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, I guess they didn't know how else to, like, encourage the, like, parkourness of it all. But it's like, all right, well, yeah, you're going to get punished if you're running, but I was like, at least give me, like, a 3-second sprint or something. Or,
yeah, something to kind of, like, have momentum, and then you maybe tire out.
And then as I'm, like, near the end of the game, you know, it's just kind of muscle memory on, like, where to jump to and where to grind and stuff. In the back of my mind, the whole time, it's like, should have had a double jump. This whole thing with wall running, grinding, and bouncing off of stuff, and these self-aware like video game comments, like you don't have a double jump. It's like, oh, yeah, it's all you needed. Just that one little bow on top.
Yeah, it's weird that wasn't an unlock at some point. I'm sure they tested it, and there was probably a reason why there isn't one. But
I mean, I still did pretty all right. But
yeah.
I mean, the thing double, like you kind of had it if you timed your bouncing, and
it's true.
Like the bouncing is everywhere, and that was an early complaint of mine. Actually, when I started playing it, I really wish the things had a color indicator on it, like the different cars and things you can and can't jump on. But then I just kind of realized, like, pretty much anything that's not the ground, you bounce off of or can grind or whatever. So I kind of like quickly dismissed that complaint. Once, like I said, this game took a few hours for it to click. That first 2-3 hours probably not had fun, but not the best time I had with it. I definitely had more fun in terms of gameplay in the back half of playing this, especially once you get a little bit more powers. Like, it's so dumb, the drifting on top of the water. Like, it's dumb, but it makes so much sense in this game to keep your line kind of like and that combo going and things like that. But no, I don't know. I don't think it quite needed a double jump because just everything around you had the tools to kind of get a double jump almost.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just like to keep the momentum going type of thing. It was like jump. I know they get a little push forward thing you could do. But at some points during like a fight, we're just like, man, I gotta like roll to this thing to bounce off of, and when I just could have just up a wall or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
The other thing Matt pointed out is the humor kind of outstaying its welcome, and that whole like atmosphere of the game. And thinking about that, like I think like, are there games that can pull it off? And the answer is yes, because I spent some time with Let It Die Again this week. Which that game just exudes its own personality, it never stops, and it doesn't grow tired, or at least not for me in Let It Die. Where this, like, the first time I played through this was not long after I got my Xbox, and going back to it, I think then, like, playing through it in one solid chunk, it was whatever, and going back to it now, I was immediately like, oh, right, like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, just kind of, like, already tired of it.
Yeah, that was the hardest part for me, honestly. Like, I made a list of pros and cons. I wrote humor 3 times. Because I try not to be so passionate and strong about negative feelings, but the humor in this game, I just could not bear it. Not even for like the first hour. I was just like, oh, it's going to be one of these. And I was like, and I played through every Borderlands game. And this was just, it might have worked back then when it came out, and maybe even then it was probably a little too late, because I was just getting like, oh, we want like the Scott Pilgrim crowd kind of thing, like, and making all these video game references within a video game, and it's like, that's not really how it works. Like, all their medias make video game references. That's why it clicks. You see it in a comic, you see it in a cartoon, you see it in a movie. Ah, okay, I see the translation or whatever. But to do it in a game, it just felt a little on the lazy side, I guess, or just like the game expects you to have played video games before in order to enjoy this game, and that it was like, it's a little alienating in a weird way.
So do you feel like this is a product of its time? Which I know its time is not that long ago, but it was of an era.
A little bit. At least as far as like the writing goes, for sure. Like I think Insomniac just had like a cool game mechanic down, and they put all their points like into that attribute, and then everything else just kind of fell under that. So I don't think they really cared about having a story, which is probably the point anyway. Like that's not really a game you play for the story, you play it for the gameplay.
Yeah.
Right? But so in order for me to like embrace that, I had to pretend that Insomniac had the rights to Devil May Cry and kind of take like a Ninja Theory approach to it. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, this would be their punk rock Dante, because he has all these crazy weapons. You fight these weird creatures, and you have this attitude about him going around. It's like, yeah, like this is like the Vans sponsored version of Devil May Cry. So that pushed me as my motivation to going through the whole thing. And
did that make it better?
A little bit. It kind of dictated how, like, what weapons I used, which wasn't many.
Yeah.
And I think I used the teddy bear launcher. Dirty Harry was the gun I used the most.
Same, yeah.
And then the shotgun, and then like the freeze cannon thing. Yep. I used those for the most. And just it sucks because it's like, oh, you have all these weapons you can use, but I use like the most basic pistol just to stay in character, and ended up winning most of the fights with just the basic pistol.
It's a good pistol though,
that Dirty Harry is very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting like approach though with Dante, because I mean you could really bend the story of Devil May Cry to this pretty well if you think like there's an evil demonic thing happening that actually made the energy drink and pushed all that down. I like that approach. Matt, you pointed out Ratchet and Clank and the weapon wheel and the weapons themselves. I think the other big elephant we haven't talked about yet is that Insomniac would then go from Sunset Overdrive to Marvel's Spider-Man. And I think really that captures the pinnacle of movement, because there's so much of Sunset Overdrive's DNA in both Peter and Miles in both of those games. Did you feel it was difficult to kind of go backwards to this from Spider-Man?
I mean, yeah, but I don't think it was because it's Spider-Man. I think the one thing I wish I had a little bit was I marked this down as like I would kill for a grappling hook at times in this game, and at the same time I'll also kill for one of those like little dumb circle reticle things that you see now in games that have like grappling hooks for ledges and things like that.
Yeah.
But besides that, like I said, I think you just have to get used to its rules, and I think that comes from anywhere. You could play Spider-Man, you could not play Spider-Man, play Tony Hawk, not play Tony Hawk. Like I just think you just have to get used to its rules, and if you're doing the story stuff, it very much just throws you into like expecting you to know some of the stuff right away, or learn it very quickly. But I wouldn't say definitely DNA is there. I mean, God, I think the animation's the same for going around a wall run. I mean, like, seriously.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a limitation. I just think it's its own set of rules, because you're not Peter or Miles. You don't have a web swinging ability.
Yeah. One thing we haven't talked about yet is why this game was chosen. So I was the one that put this on our list for this year, and it really was for a lot of the reasons we've been talking about. Like, it's kind of a weird game in the way that like it's not bad, but it's not great. It's really good, but at times it's really bad. It's just a unique game that I don't think ever quite got its due, and we haven't had a sequel. Now, who knows, with ownership being what it is, I think they being Insomniac do own the rights to Sunset, so a sequel could happen. But when are they gonna? I mean, granted, I say when are they gonna make it? But like the first 3 games you could play on PS5 were all Insomniac, right? Wasn't it? Like
Ratchet,
Spider-Man
Miles.
Remaster, Miles Morales, Ratchet and Clank. Didn't they have another one? Maybe not.
Nothing I can think of.
I feel like every first-party title on the PlayStation 5 in the last year has been Insomniac until Gran Turismo came out. But yeah, that
But aren't they doing both those Marvel games? Who's doing Wolverine?
Exactly, yeah. So they've got Wolverine and they've got the Spider-Man sequel on its way. So yeah, I it seems like a big ask for them to jump into a Sunset 2, but it's I think to Mark's point of like everything's like right there. It's just like you're still limited in customization options. You're still limited in like movement. Like there's like things it feels like could be fleshed out in a sequel really, really well that just didn't have the chance to fully bloom in this one. And from digging into this a little bit, the development tail on this one, at least from pre-production, was pretty long. They had ideas for this that changed and morphed over time. And it seems like one of those games where like once they kind of locked into a feature set, it was, okay, here's what we got to hit. You know what I mean? And you kind of have to stick to that. And it seems like it likely was kind of born of an era where the Assassin's Creed open world stuff had not yet fatigued. By the time this came out, I think we were beginning to fatigue because it was 2 years prior to Breath of the Wild. Mm-hmm. Breath of the Wild comes out. I think that's kind of like there's these like seminal moments in open world games, right? And I think that like this was like right in that 3/4 to the end of that first big era. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. We had that PS2 era of like the GTA 3s. Then you had everything that came from that, the Assassin's Creed era, and then the Breath of the Wild era, I think. I mean, this is like right at the end of that Assassin's Creed era.
Yeah, even like with the pacing of the game, it felt like the beginning, like it had a different tone, I feel, than it did towards the end. And I don't know why it just stood out to me, but like, you know how like, so it throws you right in to like a tutorial like stage, right? You just got to escape everything, whatever. But for some reason, it decides to show a flashback after that. That happened like literally 2 minutes before that game started. And it's like, why not just show the cutscene first so I have some context and then go into it? But that's another thing. But yeah,
I appreciate the gameplay first though.
Like
something I played recently was like so story heavy at the beginning, and I was mashing whatever button. I'm like, yeah, let me play the thing. So
But because of that, like I thought making my character was finite. So I made like 2 characters beforehand going through that scene, and then I was like, oh, you can just change this whenever. Got it. And but like that whole thing, it gave you like, it was like not creepy, but it was setting a tone. It was like nighttime out, you were escaping from these mutants. And then all of a sudden, then after you beat that boss, and then you get introduced to like the main characters, and that I forget the old guy's name, but you're like trying to fix that vehicle or whatever. Like that whole area, that whole first part of the game felt like it was kind of written out pretty well. And then by the time you reach, I think it's Sam or whoever, like the people inside the arcade, and then so on. It just kind of like, maybe it's because I skipped a lot of those side missions too, but it's just like, pop, pop. Okay, you're doing 3 missions here, 3 missions here, 3 missions here. Oh, look at that. You're right at the end. It's like, oh, all right. But like, I don't know.
Yeah, but the side missions, I don't think ever really like added anything.
But
time.
It's making me wonder, like maybe during the development process, they had something in that beginning part, and it was probably going to be a little bit more of that. And then I think it just, as time went on, they had to get kind of sillier with it maybe, or just,
Well, I think it's also just it's tough to tell a story in an open world game, right? Because everyone's going to go at it at a different pace.
Yeah,
I think it's tough. It really is because I don't have to go into it.
Is there anything we haven't hit on with Sunset from either of you guys? You guys had done in your notes, or any final takeaways? Or
I did enjoy the music.
You didn't?
I did enjoy the music.
Oh, you did?
That was like the one thing around. I think it fed into my fantasy Tony Hawk third-person shooter because it very much had like that punk rock. Whether some of it was good or bad is probably it's up for judgment. But like, it definitely had that vibe as like, I'm doing a 50-50 grind. Oh yeah, let me pull out a dirty Harry and blast his dude away. Like, I kind of like that fantasy of Tony Hawk third-person shooter.
Yeah, like a lot of the music I didn't feel strongly for, except for like maybe one or two boss fight songs. I was like, all right, like there's a lot of it that I can enjoy here. But I actually liked collecting stuff. Like, they made that addictive. Like, wherever I'm going, it's like, oh, let me pick up this thing. Oh, let me go get that thing. And I just
let me get that toilet paper. Yo,
like found that therapeutic a little bit just doing that. But I do give it credit that it is trying to be something different. I do like that it had like a good clean menu system going on with everything.
Yeah.
Even though it was like a little bit much, it was still all right there. Like, you didn't have to worry about anything. It was easy to navigate. It's forgiving whenever you're trying to do something. Like, if you end up dying, it's not a big deal. Like, you don't have to start a whole thing over necessarily.
Well, and the upgrade path too, I think, was unique for the time. Like, not many games give you the option to choose. At that point, I don't think gave you the option to really choose how you upgraded your character. And this one, I think, did a good job at that, with letting you take those skill points and pick a lane, so to speak.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's at its core, it's good gameplay. It's just a little mindless.
We've got more on Sunset Overdrive in a little bit. We're going to build a sequel for it. We're going to talk a bit about it. But right now, I want to look back 10 years in the past. Actually, a little bit less than that. I think a lot of the news stories I grabbed for this were really around the time from Sunset Overdrive's release. Although I did find one that was a little bit further back. We'll come back to that one. We'll save that one for the end. I guess one thing to point out, right when Sunset Overdrive came out, I looked back at what the Free Cheese podcast was doing, and nobody on staff had an Xbox One. I think Chris was the only one with an Xbox One, and he was, at that point, I think, about to move, so it was kind of like not as much on the podcast any longer, but Chris would have been the only one with an Xbox One at that point. I remember this was about the time I went to a Best Buy to buy one because the Master Chief Collection was about to drop. And that Christmas, they were doing this big holiday bundle of, it was like $50 off the console, and you got a controller and a choice of game. So it was like $350 or something for the Xbox One, a game, controller, boom, yay. And it was because you could finally buy it without Connect. It wasn't like forced in the box. And Sunset Overdrive was one that I was kind of like, yeah, that looks pretty cool. And then I don't know if you guys remember this story, but literally I was in a Best Buy debating, should I buy this? And the guy came over and rubbed his hands. He asked if I needed help, and I said, I'm trying to figure out, and Sandeep and I were there, and we were like, I don't know, should I spend the money? It's $350, it's not the end of the world, but it's still $350, it was a lot of money. And the guy was like, what can I help you with? And I was like, I'm just trying to debate, whatever. And he rubbed his hands together and said, what are we working with? And I was like, oh, nothing. Not spending any money in this establishment. Get hacked, get wrecked, putty. And I didn't buy an Xbox One for like 4 years after that. So thanks a lot, Best Buy employee. Anyway, so that was then. We were not. I was definitely like curious about the Xbox One. Were you guys around this time like at all interested, or where were you at Xbox One wise? Would have been 2014. So
I was full on probably Sony fanboy at this point. I was like, that console's fucking dying. Look at it. That sucks. Sunset was interesting, but what past that? I guess, when does Halo come out?
5?
It'll be 4? No,
4 was out a
360.
year before.
So yeah,
Master Chief Collection was on the cusp of releasing like a week later, and then 5 would have been 2015.
Master Chief Collection, that would have been the game that got me into it.
Yeah.
That turned into what it turned into. So that dropped off quickly. Funny enough, when it came back, that's when I got my Xbox. So, that was
Yeah.
the
Oh, you know what? Honestly, Rare Replay was another one at that time when I was kind of
right.
like, I could do that.
Yeah.
Mark, what about you? And sorry.
No, I was just saying, yeah, there wasn't much there for me.
Yeah.
I think I was pretty strong with Nintendo at this point. I have a Wii U, I have a 3DS, mostly the 3DS. So I think I wasn't thinking about the Xbox that much, especially with the whole like TV meme going around and all that. I was just like, I don't think I have the money for this right now, and it's not a lot that I care about exclusive wise. And I think I also had a PC at this point too. So I think I was just more back into that whole side of things.
It's funny you point out the TV thing, because my gut reaction is, hey man, that was just at launch in 2013. 2014, they weren't doing that. But this week, while grabbing news stories from 2014, the week that Sunset Overdrive came out, one of them said, take a look at the new Xbox dashboard with newer, easier ways to view TV. It's like still very much one of the center focuses. So that week, we were counting down the days until Smash for Wii U. The release date had been confirmed not too long before that. And that was kind of where we were at in terms of the Free Cheese podcast. Later on in the season, we included Sunset Overdrive as one of the reasons to buy an Xbox One that holiday. But that was kind of the extent of our Sunset coverage until, years later when I would finally get an Xbox One. But all right, so jumping into a couple headlines that week, I guess a week after-ish, Sunset came out. Blizzard announced this video game, born out of Project Titan, to be called Overwatch. Attempting to be kind of an answer to Valve's Team Fortress 2. It was that year, the 20th anniversary of Warcraft, the 10th anniversary of World of Warcraft. Everybody was expecting Warcraft or World of Warcraft related announcements, but instead, Overwatch, a first-person shooter with a cast of colorful heroes and villains, announced that year. I bring this one up because the two seem almost married in a way. Like Sunset Overdrive, the how like vibrant and colorful it is. Like Overwatch definitely had a bit of that kind of like, definitely different themes, right? Like Overwatch is very like sterile, sci-fi-y, whatever. Where Sunset is very like punk, gross.
Sunset is DreamWorks and Overwatch is Pixar.
Yeah, exactly. So Sunset is Shrek, is what you're saying.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Sun Shrek.
When I already forgot the name of the game, Overwatch. I was going to call it Project Titan. When Overwatch was announced, were either of you aware, intrigued, excited?
I was aware of it. I liked the cinematic intro that they had, but I didn't know what it was going to be exactly based off that cinematic. Like I didn't know it was going to be like this hero shooter type thing. I was like, it was on my radar, but it wasn't like huge.
Matt, how do you feel? Because this was, when announced, it was kind of pitched to be a shooter that promotes teamwork, trying to build something that feels evocative and inclusive, ultimately about the heroes, and Blizzard was really challenging themselves to push the heroic ideal and teamwork. How is that coming off of like the Call of Duty era?
I mean, the teamwork thing, I don't remember at this point where I was at with this game. The teamwork thing, and when I usually play these by myself, so like the teamwork thing's a little daunting. The reliance on it for a shooter, But I think I was out on Overwatch until very close to release, and my friend Nick was the one who, like, because he's a big World of Warcraft guy, so like I think he was the ultimate final, like, this looks good, let's get it, and then that's when I ended up picking it up. So I think I'm out at that point. I think I'm out on this still, or like if I am intrigued, it was more because, oh, this is what Project Titan ended up being, this thing. I think for me personally, though, I was out.
I will say this is the reason why I bought a PS4, because my friends were all playing it and obsessed with it. So they're like, hey, you should get it. I was like, all right. And I got it, I think, with Digimon Story, like that same day or something.
I know it's going to be a little bit, more than likely, but are either of you at all interested in Overwatch 2?
I don't know what it is. Like, do I need it? Do I not need it?
It's the old Wii U predicament.
I'm like remotely curious about the single player stuff, because they were supposed to incorporate some type of like campaign like thing, or co-op versus like AI type thing. Other than that, no, not really.
Another news story. This one's a little interesting, considering Sunset Overdrive as an Xbox Game Studios published game. Just earlier that year was the first time actually that Microsoft had acquired the rights to the Gears of War franchise from Epic Games, including rights to all existing and future games. Black Tusk Studios, Microsoft's Vancouver development team, would take over development of the franchise, with Rod Ferguson, former Epic Games director of production of Gears of War, joining Microsoft to play a key studio leadership role at Black Tusk. Weird that Gears was not always Microsoft's, right? Because it is so closely ingrained. How do you think
like
this
Insomniac
one...
to PlayStation?
Say it again?
It was like Insomniac to PlayStation. I know this is more of an IP, but...
No, yeah. Yeah, I mean, at this point, could you have imagined a Gears of War game that wasn't on an Xbox console?
No. I'm shaking my head. I didn't realize I'm on an audio podcast.
Makes sense not to realize it's only been 6 years. Whatever happened with Black Tusk? I remember that studio being announced, but is that what turned into... What are they now? The Coalition, yeah.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I don't even remember Black Tusk.
I would assume, right?
Yeah, it was Zipline Studios, then Microsoft Game Studios Vancouver, Black Tusk Studios, and now the Coalition.
I remember the Vancouver.
And yeah, they've just been on Gears of War since the start.
It's just Gears now.
Sorry, Gears, yeah, my apologies.
Hey, don't hate on Gears. I'm a Gears man now.
Well, so I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, do you feel like had Microsoft not swooped in and purchased it, you would have been as in on Gears? Like, we may not have had Gears 4 or 5 or Tactics.
Oh, that's weird to think about. But who had it? It was Epic, right? Didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
So what? It just would have been on PC, probably. I don't know.
It probably would have been PC exclusive and then made its way to PlayStation or something after that.
So I think they still had enough clout. Like, I think even with Judgment, because Judgment was their prequel, right? Gears of War Judgment, I believe.
That sounds right. Yeah, because that and God of War both had a GOW colon game. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that probably didn't break the record books for sales, but I still, like, Gears still has clout, and it still had it back then, even at its lowest point, I would say. And then something like, of course, it could have gone in any other direction, who knows, but story-wise, but I don't think anything. I just think it would have been multi-platform, honestly. Maybe not Gears Tactics, but that was a good 7 out of 10.
It wouldn't be on Wii U.
It wasn't needed.
Yeah. Keeping in the theme of like a lot of the news stories I grabbed this week are all about these kind of weird ownership and collaboration, and I don't know. There's a theme here. I don't quite know how to articulate, but this news story from the week that Sunset came out states that the next full Destiny game is in development. Activision reported in a post-earnings financial call. Work had begun on future expansion packs as well as the next full game, which of course would later become Destiny 2. And now Bungie is owned by PlayStation. Destiny's one of the biggest. I think that's like something that's pretty understated. But after that Sony news, we all got to kind of look back at those numbers again and realize how big Destiny really is. It's very strange. Where are you guys at on Destiny? That Witch Queen seems like the most interesting thing in a long time, but I still don't know if it's enough to pull me back in. I guess. No. Yeah, Mark,
I'm still out.
Yeah. It's not even that the ship sailed for Mark. Like, Mark never even went to the dock. You did, but you were like, I'm gonna ride up on my jet ski real quick. You guys don't like jet skis? All right, I'm gonna go this way then. You guys have fun on your boat.
Yeah, I think I wanted Destiny to be something it's not. So that's a me thing.
Talking Destiny now or Destiny then? Because I think at that point I'm like, okay, cool. Let's kind of hit the soft reset button on this a little bit. But now I did have a friend start to try to talk me into why he had the same feelings as I did when I left a couple years ago, and why now is the best Destiny's ever been. And I was like, huh.
Literally right now? Like
right now, yeah.
See, after, in a post-Halo Infinite world, I when I see stuff like this DLC come out, I start to consider it a little bit more, because at least Destiny gives you more to chew on.
Mm-hmm.
But then I forgot that they put content in the vault and make people feel like they wasted their money a little bit. And that part...
Honestly...
The vault never bothered me personally.
And so I jumped back into Destiny 2 months ago, literally just to see how it ran on PS5. Maybe not 2 months. It's only been a month.
Was it on Xbox that you did it?
No. I did it on PS5. I installed it. I literally did whatever the latest thing that you're forced to do before you can do anything. I did that because it threw me into it, and then I loaded the tower to see how quick the tower was, and that was it. But thinking about the vaulting stuff, I was like, I didn't hate it, because every time I've gone back to Destiny, it's always been icon, click this. There's so much to do that I feel so overwhelmed. So having less available was a little bit more palpable. It still is completely overwhelming though. I don't know where to go. I guess just do the through line if I were going to do it, but
it feels like a game you need to dedicate all your time to.
It does, and I don't want to do that. I don't know. I still feel like at some point it would be fun to run through. I never finished that last expansion, Beyond Light, and Witch Queen seems like the only one that I would do. I like the color scheme of it a lot, but I don't know that I'm in. This one's just a quick check-in. I just want to read the headline and move on because we don't have a ton of time. But just interesting to think about again how franchises have changed and how far they've grown. This one came out 2 days after Sunset Overdrive. We got our second look at Resident Evil HD coming to modern consoles at the time. And look how far that's all come at this point. And then I'm going to close it out with one news story from 10 years ago announcing that Overstrike, Insomniac's Overstrike, published by Electronic Arts, had gone through a name change, now known as Fuse, a 4-player co-op third-person shooter, now taking a more serious tone over what was once looking to be a lighthearted experience. Fuse was scheduled for release Q1 2020. I'm sorry, 2013, not 2023.
Wait, was that the?
Yeah, that game.
Is that the game with the yellow helmet on the front?
Very generic.
Nope. Y'all are thinking of Haze.
Haze. I'm always thinking about that box art. It sticks out.
That's Fuse then.
So Fuse.
Fuse is
let's see.
generic.
The premise here.
Yeah, Fuse is very generic.
Oh yeah.
Very.
The United States government found an alien crash site in the 1940s, discovered a substance that was dubbed Fuse. Fuse is a flying, smoky, and somewhat sentient element. The government has kept Fuse a secret for decades, and in that time done all sorts of experiments on it in order to create powerful new weapons. A rogue military organization called Raven learns about Fuse and proceeds to steal the alien substance for their own purposes. The setup sounds kind of cool. Like, I would play a co-op. If you made Destiny this, like weird aliens, I mean, Destiny is kind of weird alien stuff, but...
they were definitely, like, trying to get that Mass Effect audience with the visuals here. But
yeah. But this too, not unlike Overwatch, you had hero characters you had to play as that had their own classes. You had Sniper and Stealth and
Sunset Overdrive, Overwatch, Overstrike.
It's all right here, man.
Overdoing it.
Yeah, I don't know. You think they'll ever go back to Overstrike now that they're under Jim Ryan's leadership, Matt?
No.
Just a quick, hardcore no.
You're better. I don't think you're going to see Sunset either, but I think you have a better chance of Sunset.
I suppose. Yeah, I know that wasn't quite 10 years ago that we looked back, but I think some of those are interesting news stories for the time. It's time for this month's segment. Who would win in a fight? I'm going to pull up a little spreadsheet I have here so I can share with Matt and Mark. But all month long, we are going to pit video games' greatest sidekicks against one another. I got to see how time goes. I really don't know how this is going to break down, how many we'll get through. But what I'd like to do, I think, is just show both of you we're going to do it one at a time. So there's 32 total. So 2 16-sided brackets.
Okay.
If we can get through both sides today, sick. If not, we'll see. If we have to bleed into April, we may bleed into April. Who knows? But I'm going to make sure I zoom in quite a bit. Actually, make this a little bit bigger for y'all. So at some point I had the idea to do sidekicks as, something we would explore. Coincidentally, purely coincidentally, because I did not plan this, or maybe I did and forgot that I planned it. March 22nd is National Sidekick Day. So call that what you will, I suppose. I want you both to, if possible, cast aside your adoration or condemnation for any of these characters, any disdain you may have, or any love you have.
So Tails is in here, that's what you're saying.
Of course Tails is in here. But I want you to think not just who would literally win in a fight. I want you to think about who really is the best sidekick.
Okay.
Granted. Right? Like, it does matter how they stack up against the other, but thinking about who is the best sidekick.
Okay.
Let's keep that into consideration here. Alrighty. So we've got our first pairing here. Navi from Ocarina of Time and Luigi. Luigi Mario, if you need his full name. Matt, Mark, who would win in a fight between Navi and Luigi?
Luigi.
and Navi doesn't combat, right? She?
Yeah. Like she's just more of just
guidance.
At best, yeah. Like Nintendo doesn't even like Navi when they designed her. Like, No, but like Luigi, I mean, if he had any of his tools at his disposal, like he has so many ways of getting rid of Navi, but you could just vacuum her up, call it a day. But like,
oh, you know what? Yeah, that's a good point.
But in terms of
Luigi goes rogue. Luigi has his own things going on sometimes. He might not be able to schedule time to partner with Mario. He might be stuck in a mansion somewhere.
The story of the first Luigi's Mansion is that Mario is captured, so he goes there and saves him. That, like, what other sidekick is going to do that in their whole game is to go save their best friend / brother, you know?
Navi wouldn't do that.
Literally the same game.
Navi won't do that. Navi can't even open a door.
Fair.
That's true.
Fair. that goes a long way.
I think inherently the fact that Luigi's got hands makes him the better sidekick. All right. Get heck, Navi. Luigi wins. Our next pairing. Blob from A Boy and His Blob and Kazooie from Banjo-Kazooie. Now,
this is actually a good match.
I never played A Boy and His Blob. And
all right, the thing to remember with The Boy and His Blob is that as the boy, you feed said blob jelly beans, and the blob changes its shape. So, you know, Kazooie's got, she can shoot eggs from her mouth or butt or whatever area she decides to shoot eggs from. The blob can become a ladder, an umbrella, a manhole, a trampoline, a friend, a dad, a son.
So the thing with
feed him the right bean,
but you eat the beans.
Yeah, the blob is nothing without the boy and his beans.
Man,
Kazooie.
Well, I mean,
you can actually like. Kazooie, you can actually
help glide.
Yes. Like you can also run as Kazooie and go up hills. Like you can actually control Kazooie and trot up steep hills that Banjo couldn't. And you can do the higher jumps, and you can fly, and you can do the drill pecks, and all that stuff.
But doesn't Banjo need to strangle Kazooie to get her to do most of the things he wants her to do? In a way, both of these characters are being manipulated by their partners.
for the shooting eggs out of the mouth thing.
Sure.
Other than that, she's kind of on her own for the most part, and she's very sassy too. But yeah, like the blob, but like unless the blob is able to eat his own jelly beans, he ain't doing much.
I'm trying to look at this. I just kind of came up with this, and I think this is how I'm going to kind of start this going forward. How would these two
who can open
sidekicks help each other, and who would help more? And I'm like, the blob is useless without the main person. So in that regard, kind of Kazooie is needed, right?
Yeah, and
I'm not.
Kazooie has limbs, so
by default,
yeah.
Evidently, the blob can be a son, a dad, a friend, an arm.
Correct. A guitar. You can do whatever you want.
But he needs the beans. And unless he doesn't get the beans, he's just going to be a blob.
Blob doesn't pass the door test.
That's also... There's a lot of factors now we're looking into now. Doors.
It sounds like
a son,
we're
a
going
dad.
Kazooie on this one. Can Kazooie be a dad?
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know the lore.
Who's to say?
All right, Kazooie takes the round. Our next pairing.
Oh, you did this on
Trico
purpose. You did this on purpose.
From Last Guardian. I want you guys to know that these pairings are randomized. I created the list, and then I put them all in a spreadsheet, and I randomized everything. These pairings are absolutely random.
Okay. No. Okay. Actually, this is good.
Yeah. But some of them ended up like kind of weirdly perfect. It's a strange thing. So yeah, Pikmin and Trico.
I think with Pikmin, it's a lot of management. And only specific ones are good for specific things. And you're not always going to have all of them. And you'll lose a lot of them.
I would say you need like an army, but if that army is out devastated in any way, it's almost useless, and you have to retreat.
Yeah, it takes probably like 200 to maybe even reach a doorknob. Trico, just one kick is down.
Right.
Now,
not all of them would die, though. Some of them might climb up and poison his eyes.
I don't, I think Trico will, just because of the size, I don't think Trico would even be aware of Pikmin.
Yeah, fair.
Trico can fly too, right?
Yeah, like...
Or does he have a good glide?
Like, towards the end, he can do, like, a good fly glide type of thing. He can at first. Like, his whole thing is that, like, he's not really trustworthy, and he's growing as you go along. So by the end, he's actually pretty dang good. Pikmin are only good also during the daytime.
Oh, wow. Good point.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, I hadn't considered that.
Trico has its fears, but got over them by the end.
Trico, yeah.
We're going
Yeah.
Trico? All right. Trico takes the round over Pikmin. Next matchup. Mei Ling or Johnny Silverhand?
That's not what you wrote. So...
Some of the ones that are on this list, I couldn't remember their characters' names, so the things I had written out were just fun. And Keanu, I kept Keanu in there because what else is he but Keanu?
Surprised he's not called Silver
But again,
Arm.
this is another one where, like, I think randomization worked in our favor because what a perfect pairing for just voices in your head in a video game.
One can force you
Mei
to
Ling,
open
for those who
doors.
can't see, is Metal Gear Solid.
So, you pull the picture from one, but are we talking about the state of the franchise?
Go for it.
Because Mei Ling is a pivotal character in Metal Gear Solid 4.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah, let's include that. I think.
And becomes a little bit more than just a voice in Snake's ear.
I mean, okay.
Is she more of a better sidekick
Well, I never
than Johnny Silverhand?
finished Cyberpunk, so I don't know how that ends, but from what I played, he's just a voice in your head.
Are you comfortable at all with some Cyberpunk spoilers? Because I know a good bit about that game thanks to the action button review of Cyberpunk 2077.
I did watch the ending.
Part of me still wants to go back to it at some point.
All right, I don't want to ruin it then, because it just came out on new consoles, so maybe we'll save it. I will say that, like, let me see, what's the way I can say this?
I've barely touched a Metal Gear, and I would still say Mei Ling is probably a better sidekick.
She saves your data. Like, that's like you can't complete
And
Metal
Johnny,
Gear in one sitting.
Johnny wants to erase your data.
Yeah,
true.
Johnny kind of just like wants to. I think Johnny has a lot of
He's more hostile. Yeah,
personal.
right.
Johnny doesn't care about you. Like he's forced
He's
to care
along for
about
the
you.
ride. Yeah.
Right, and
He's
it's
more
a
of a
bit selfish.
parasite.
Like he's pushing you along for his own reasons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a parasite. Just feeding off
he's
the
like-
host. Yeah, Mei
He's
Ling.
somehow worse than Navi.
All right, that was pretty easy. Mei Ling wins the round. Next up, for Mass Effect, we have Garrus,
Well,
and Jack and Daxter. We have Daxter.
the fact that you picked George Daxter says everything.
I did what I had to. Matt, you look perplexed at Garrus. I want to say also, this is the only character from a BioWare game that I've got on the list. However, when you look up lists of video game sidekicks on Wikipedia to fill in the blanks of your memory when you're trying to put together, say, a list of the best sidekicks ever, it is nothing but BioWare games. There's like 22 characters listed from Dragon Age. There's like 35 listed from Mass Effect.
Those
There's
role-playing
gotta be more.
games.
I found so many more sidekicks in video game history on my own than Wikipedia did, and I'm ashamed of Wikipedia. I'm ashamed to donate money to Wikipedia after that.
Oh wow.
Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
so I never played a Mass Effect, and I
Yet.
know how important Garrus is to a lot of people, and that's just from the
Yes.
outside.
Yeah. Same.
Garrus is very cool. However,
Uh-oh.
Slight spoilers. He could potentially not be around come Mass Effect 3.
Well,
If
duh.
you fuck up.
Okay.
So,
Daxter.
Daxter's along for the ride, and
I think
he's there.
I feel like Daxter is like. I mean, yeah, he started out as Jack's friend even before becoming what he is now, right? But
he's a coward, though.
Jack didn't seem too interested in him as a friend at first. He was just like always rolling his eyes or always shrugging whenever Daxter's around saying or doing something. Like, but I think Daxter cares about Jack, but I don't think Jack cares about Daxter.
Which is fine. That's what you want in a good sidekick. Let me ask you this. What PSP game did you play called Garrus? None.
Yeah, how come Garrus isn't wearing JNCOs?
Yeah, dude.
So we got to pass a door test and a JNCO test. That's...
If we still named episodes, this would be called the JNCO test.
But Daxter took place before Jack 2?
Timeline-wise, I don't know.
Because I think that's what leads to him finding Jack after he was captured, and then that's when Jack is able to talk for the first time or something like that. So it's another game where a sidekick gets a spin-off and comes to rescue said main character. Daxter is a Luigi.
True. I want to point out for the listeners who cannot see this that Matt seems truly upset at having to make this decision. You are like very perplexed.
I'm just trying to, because Garrus can handle a gun, and he has I forgot what the powers are called in Mass Effect, but he has those cool powers, those force powers.
Daxter can handle bug spray.
Yeah.
Is Garrus a bug?
Daxter has that survivor instinct, but Garrus also signed up for a suicide mission. Literally the name of the mission in said Mass Effect 2. So,
yeah, well,
I don't know. I am. They're two totally different characters, but I'm perplexed. But it's the thing with Garrus' death. It is all on Shepard. It wouldn't be necessarily on Garrus. Shepard's decisions would fuck up Garrus. It's not Garrus.
So he's still a great sidekick, is what you're saying.
Yeah. He just... actions have consequences in those games.
And I feel in the Jack games, whenever Daxter is around, it's, Daxter isn't like a Kazooie, like, yeah, he might be part of a combo or something here and there when you're doing melee, but you're mostly Jack with the weapons and whatnot. Like,
I have not played a lot of
just kind
Jack
of
2, or I played more Jack 2. I never really even touched Jack 3. But like Jack and Daxter is he's the hesitant one going into a situation. It's more like the silent protagonist kind of like gives him like, we gotta go kind of thing. Daxter's like, I don't want to go here.
Daxter will at most times think of himself. I feel, but I mean, like when it comes to being a good sidekick, I think he will show up for it, but it's not often either. Like, he's just kind of there for the ride for the most part, at least in terms of gameplay. Unless it's its own spin-off game, right? Where you do have to play as him, or if there might be a little mission where you have to play as him or something.
But I will say, didn't Daxter make the ultimate sacrifice at the end of Jack and Daxter, where he could have went back to being a boy, but he didn't?
That sounds right.
I think that is the definition of a sidekick you want.
I got to like 95% of that game and didn't finish the remaining 5%.
Well, sorry, I spoiled the 5% for you.
No, like I forgot about that, but I knew as well. Does that make sense? Like I knew about the ending when I was playing it, but then I forgot it.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact ending now. It's been a while, but like something you create the correct eco, but you must use it to defeat the final boss instead of him diving into it and becoming a boy again.
Daxter's very reluctant, but he will. Man, but like Garrus doesn't act like that at all, right? Like
Garrus is like very, at least with my original playthrough of the Mass Effect 2, again, not trilogy because I didn't play 1, but the trilogy is, he's level-headed and is like a good like advisor to Shepard at all times. Like he's very level-headed. He will bring Shepard down, bring Shepard up, bring encouragement. He's like a good co-team cap. He's like the, like someone's got to man the ship if Shepard wasn't there, right? Usually Garrus is going to be with Shepard, but I would consider Garrus the number 2 on the ship and number 2 in command after Shepard.
Is Garrus and Shepard more like a colleague-coworker relationship and not so much a friendship?
I think I can't remember now. I think it starts as a colleague, but it very much turns into a friendship by the end. Because when they get reunited in Mass Effect 2, it seemed like a very good to see you again. Like
I'm gonna say, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, it's like a good see you. Like it's nice to see you again. It's a happy-go-lucky reunion. It's not like a very business thing.
I'm gonna say, just in terms of gameplay alone, I think Garrus is probably the better sidekick. He would just have your
swaying back and forth.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna take control of the ship. I'm gonna say gut. Like, where are we at? Mark, you say Garrus?
I'm saying Garrus. Yeah.
It is a true draw, but Garrus.
All right. Garrus takes it. Next up on the list, 9S from Nier Automata and Diddy Kong from Diddy Kong Quest.
So, I will start off. I don't know my Donkey Kong lore, but 9S become... should I go there? Well, I guess I kind of have to say it because that proves my point. 9, alright, sorry if you haven't played Nier Automata, please, God, skip ahead for 5 minutes and play Nier Automata. 9S becomes so good at being a sidekick that 2B must kill him.
True.
Diddy has a spinoff. Or actually, no, legitimate sequel. And has to save the protagonist.
No, but not.
Do you
wait,
think
hold
Diddy
on.
was ever thinking about how he wanted to be?
Maybe not 2B, but maybe Funky Kong.
Oh yeah, good point.
But no, that's not fair because 9S technically has a spin-off game inside of his own game.
That's true.
I would say 9S.
9S.
He's got a sword, dude. That monkey's got no sword.
He's got a banana pellet gun thing.
Diddy Kong has got coconut guns. All right.
True.
They gonna hurt.
I feel like Diddy Kong's not loyal.
Actually, not coconut guns. He's got peanut guns.
Is loyal. Like 9S is gonna be there until the end.
What do you mean Diddy's not loyal?
Yeah, literally. Like
where's this coming from?
Seeks revenge.
What does Diddy seek revenge? What?
No. 9S seeks revenge after Steak Sauce takes out 2B.
True.
You know, if
Diddy's not wearing pants, I don't know how far you can trust that.
Well, I mean, to be fair, 2B doesn't wear pants either if you do the right things.
I mean, true.
She's never wearing pants, period. But
do you think Diddy just hit self-destruct mode a long time ago and never reloaded a save?
All right. Here's how I'll twist Diddy. When you're playing as Diddy in either the first game or the second one, it's optional to pick up a barrel and free the other Kong. You don't have to do it. You can just walk by him and say, "See ya, buddy." Going on my own.
I think you just 9S.
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 I don't even think Donkey Kong has doors.
I forgot about the old door test. All right, our next pairing, Nishiki from the Yakuza games, Kiryu's right-hand man, and Roll from Mega Man, or Rockman. The Roll to Rock's Rock.
Oof. I don't have much to contribute here.
Oh, I don't know much about Nishiki, but I'm assuming. Okay, so we're going with classic role, like original role, because honestly, I don't think she does much. I think she's just kind of there, and they gave her a broom, and it's like, all right, I guess you're important now, or like a vacuum cleaner arm. It's like, wow, okay, well, patriarchy wins again. But if this was Mega Man Legends role, I think she has bigger importance, but that's not the picture here. But
I just grabbed a picture. I wouldn't necessarily.
They're two different characters, though.
Is Legends canon to the original Mega Man, or is it its own timeline?
I think it's in this. Ooh, it's like way in the future, I think. Okay. But
because I mean, I used the franchise argument for Mei Ling earlier, so I think it's fair play if it makes sense.
I wouldn't count it. I think it's different. I think Mega Man is more related to Mega Man X as to Mega Man Legends. It might be more related to like the Battle Network stuff.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Nishiki. I'm just gonna say it's a better written character. I don't know. It just has to be by default, just a better written character. Like, there's depth. It's fleshed out.
Both of them do pass the door test, though.
That's good.
So I'll give it that.
Yeah.
Shiki also has connections too, right? Like he has his own.
He's got connections.
He has his own sidekicks that can take care of business. I'm assuming. I just because I haven't played the older Yakuza games doesn't mean I don't know probably how to go.
Also, could wear jorts if he wanted to.
Fair.
All
right, yeah, we'll give him the edge, and then we've got one more pairing for this week. Cortana and Tails.
Can Tails unlock a door?
Yeah.
Yeah, and more ways than one.
Okay.
Tails also has his own spin-off game, but not to save Sonic.
Yeah.
That's
true. Just to hang out and have fun.
No, like, I know Cortana's with you, like AI talking to you and has to move the story along, but like for 3 games you have to save her, so she's kind of a shitty sidekick.
No, I can't believe I'm saying this. Tails is the better sidekick. Cortana is a villain.
Yeah. No,
she's out for herself. She's not looking out for John. She thinks she knows John's best interest, but she doesn't.
No, dude, Tails hands down is a better sidekick because even since his debut, he's just with you. Like, you don't have to break him from a barrel to save him. You don't have to do a high five to play as him. He's just there. And then if you need to fly in the third one or something to get a pick-me-up, you just double jump and he'll... Or a second player can just come in whenever. Infinite lives. Like, he cannot die. Tails is a god.
Halo Infinite, Infinite. That's a double negative. I don't know.
He's not right now, but I also feel like Tails would wear jorts, and in fact, I'm gonna look up.
Yeah, he would.
No, Cortana thinks for herself and just assumes it's in your best interest as a sidekick.
Yeah, like Tails' whole like icon is just being a good person.
Well, a kid, person. Yeah. Come on.
Sorry.
I'm gonna say just
creature, character.
Probably don't look up Tails wearing jorts.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh yeah, don't look up Sonic anything.
It gave me a lot more than just Sonic, dude.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
All right, this is just a monkey feeding a baby tiger with a bottle.
So I think
and that's just Tim Allen. All right, what?
Tails, right? That's where we're leaning?
Yeah, for sure. It was hands down Tails.
I'm not going to fight it, man. If Matt picked Tails, Matt picked Tails.
I'm just saying, I mean, Tails never been a bad guy in a game.
True. Well, yeah, we've got quite a lineup ahead of us over the next couple weeks. This is only the first half of our left side of the bracket, so next week we'll come back. We'll take a look at the other side of the bracket and see who else awaits us before we start narrowing it down even further. Our next segment is a roundtable question. I want to know what video games feel like fake video games in a TV show or movie.
I got a couple.
I don't know why. First thought, PsyOps, the Mindgate conspiracy.
What? Why?
I'm
Why?
just sticking with it. Don't know why.
Okay.
That was just the
All
first
right.
game. It feels like so generic that there's no licensing issues. There's a PS2 game, so they can easily just and there's probably a couple cool shots of you taking over someone in the background if you need it.
You know what? The box art, even though it is kind of iconic, feels a little generic when it's just a dude with a pistol. Like, the glowing eye is what makes that stand out. Without it, just a dude with a gun. Or
I didn't
Yeah,
think of
the-
anything
or
else. Usually I
something.
bring a few games to this conversation. I saw that one. I was like, winner.
Easy one, Fortnite.
Oh my god, dude, yeah.
Just because how wacky that looks. And, like, any game that looks like Fortnite, just,
I was gonna say a lot of games look like Fortnite now. That's the problem.
yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Crossy Roads. You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
1-2 Switch. Looks like
That
something
does
I
seem
would
like a
see
fake
it
video
like
game.
that looks like if Dawson's Creek was revived, I would see that in the background.
Yeah.
Roblox, but like for the right reasons.
yeah.
Like that would be on some Nickelodeon live action show, and it's just there. RuneScape now looks like something you would see. Like if a show or a movie couldn't afford a high budget, and it's just like, oh, let's just animate some low poly stuff and call it a video game. And this is a fun one, Rage.
Ooh, yeah.
So this one is kind of a tongue-in-cheek answer because of Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But it seems like a,
The one rail shooter we never got.
Yeah, I mean, Sunset Overdrive inspired this because it kind of does feel
It-
like it's so in itself that it's fake.
Yeah.
Looking back, I think Fuse also makes sense as a fake video game. I don't know. I feel like there's probably a couple of racing games that just feel like fake. Like Midnight Club feels like a fake video game.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Rockstar's table tennis.
Fortnite. Yeah, Rockstar Table Tennis is another. Like,
Mario
what? Why?
Mario 3. As seen
Which
in
one?
Mario 3, as seen in The Wizard
Oh, yeah. That
before it got released.
honestly, like Mario 2 probably feels like the fake video game of them.
Well,
right?
actually, Doki Doki Panic might be.
No, yeah, that's the correct answer.
Yeah.
For the North American audience, Doki Doki Panic is the fake video game.
Oh, the
There's-
Just Dances.
Oh yeah, those are so
Yeah.
they're like just nondescript
Connect
blank
Sports.
characters that are still dressed up. Connect Sport. Oh, that
think-
remember that bad Michael Phelps Connect swimming game?
I didn't even know that existed. So sure.
Oh, dude, go
Wii
look
Music.
up some old E3 videos. Wii Music.
I think I was thinking about this the wrong way. I was trying to substitute what would take over the place of that game in Superbad.
Oh, Winback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, oh, I can see Michael Cera playing PsyOps, the Mindgate conspiracy.
Yeah, that fits. I think something like Boktai, The Sun is in Your Hands, feels like a fake video game,
I don't
but
know.
it's
I don't know.
because I think in that case because it's wholly unique, right? But not because it's necessarily a bad or fake video game.
I just can't imagine a movie production company being that stylish.
All right, fair. I retract my statement.
I think there's something weirdly bizarre about Guitaro Man to bring it back to the free cheese, that like I think that would make sense because that story is so wacky. It can fit into anything. I think
You could probably
Actually,
see
yeah,
a clip of that in the background and be like, "Oh, all right."
Or like when you read Watchmen, you've got the main Watchmen plot, but there's also the Black Freighter like cut-in comic book. Like Guitar Man seems like a thing where like you'd be watching a series and it would just like cut to that. It's kind of like the introduction of like season 4 of Aqua Teen when it was the whole like space capade thing back and forth. Like that kind of thing where like you're just getting this like these little snippets of Guitar Man and then you just go back to your regular show. But yeah, it's like a weird side spin-off thing.
Probably like some MOBA. Sure.
Overwatch feels like a fake video game.
Yeah.
League looks a bit more sterile in my opinion than Dota. And that's not because I play Dota. I just think the art style.
Sure,
No,
it's not.
I
sure, definitely.
I agree with that.
No, I don't.
But like basically anything that's like a mobile game probably qualifies.
At this point, yeah.
Especially like the bigger ones. So
Oh, all of those ones with like the keep the gardener out of my garden or whatever that stupid thing is. You know what I'm talking about? That guy with the creepy mustache.
Oh,
yeah.
Touch my dad. Yeah, that one. Yeah, the gardener's my son. That whole saga is just a
it's
weird...
actually a blob, but we won't go there.
Our final segment for the week is a proper sequel. You know it. You love it. We're here to build a sequel to Sunset Overdrive that Insomniac won't. Matt is going to pull up a title generator. We're going to get ourselves 5 hot titles and build a sequel here. Let's see what we can come up with.
All right, ready for number 1?
Yeah, hit me.
Underwater harpoon assault.
All right.
Number 2. Able to go. Political Sailor Jr.
Okay, topical.
Dead or Alive Bow Hunter Plus. Subterranean Bongo of the Damned.
All these like underground things.
And our last one. Infinite Squirrel vs. Street Fighter. Well, I can already picture a logo for the Street Fighter title. So.
Oh, but you forgot one. You forgot Sunset Overdrive versus the World.
All right, these are some unique ones.
Is there one that you're kind of leaning towards at all, Matt?
No.
Mark?
The squirrel one.
I'm drawn to that one because of the Capcom connection with your Dante. I feel like we want to carry that forward a bit.
Actually, that and what was the bongo one?
Subterranean
Bongo of the Damned.
That one.
Yeah, because you could lean into the rhythm aspect of it.
What was the last? Well, we did this for Gitsuru Man, and didn't I say about making like a Cryptid and Necro Dancer rhythm game? I think there's something to that here as well.
Yeah, if you add rhythm as an element to the traversal in this, like
I was thinking the same
if
thing.
You're like, yeah, like transfer lines on the beat that could like combo your score up. I feel like that could be something interesting. And the whole idea is that you're trying to go beneath Sunset City to uncover the Bongo of the Damned, so that you could like that's the final weapon you get, and you have to like. There's a whole like breakdown. Remember that bad Joker fight at the end of Arkham Asylum? It's like that, except you have to do like a rhythm-based bongo hits.
See, I'm thinking more like Ocarina of Time, where like the bongo's a boss.
Oh, that would be sick too.
And then like that's causing everything to be in rhythm, so you can only fight in rhythm.
That's very good. Yes.
Time your shots.
And I like if we want to spin it into the story here, like the rock concert at the end of Sunset, or like towards the end, it's not the end, but towards the end could have awoken the sleeping bongo that has then had Sunset dripped through it because it's gone through the gutters and has gone into, underwater to the water supply and the groundwater supply, and boom, there's a bongo and a subway somewhere.
Echo through the pipes.
Yeah. And then thank God you have all those years of experience playing video games, because this is going to be nothing for you, ×2.
Yeah, better have experience in rhythm games.
I think we're leaning towards that one. Any interest in entertaining some of the other ones at all? I think Underwater Harpoon Assault's interesting, just for the fact that, like, what if we took this gameplay underwater?
But, like, I don't want to go... There's no comboing underwater like that. I don't know how you would do it without it being really crowded and weird. I think it would have to be like an underwater city, and that comes years later after they build an underwater city.
Yeah, like it's like a BioShock thing where you're technically underwater, but you're not in the water. You're surrounded by a glass, so you're still
like. What Jaws is it?
It's just a backdrop.
They have that underwater aquarium, and Jaws breaks the glass. It's a Jaws 3. It's a bad one.
No, that was Deep Blue Sea with Samuel L. Jackson.
No, there's a Jaws.
And LL Cool J.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, there could be something like that, and Sunset gets into a fish and breaks the thing. I don't know. I don't like that one, though. I like this bongo, because the rhythm gameplay makes so much sense as the next evolution.
It does.
Political Sailor, that's dumb. Dead or Alive, I mean, we can just
Bow
strip
Hunter
everyone.
Plus is...
We can just strip everyone half naked. Sure.
Yeah. My character was anyway. I did have jorts on for most of this game. I'll put that out there for Sunset Overdrive.
Right on.
How could you not?
Off the wall.
It's time to rank it. We close every episode, Season 10, as we build our list by building the list. This is going to be an interesting one here. You can follow along with the list each week over at thefreecheese.com/the list. I think this one's going to be a little different. So let's build it. Let's go from bottom up here. I just want to do kind of a like, is it better than? Are you guys good with that?
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
So do we feel like Sunset Overdrive is better than Billy Hatcher?
Yes.
Yeah, it's playable.
Do we feel like Sunset Overdrive is better than Devil's Crush?
No.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I'm with you guys. I'm same exact boat. Perfect.
You know what's weird?
Then.
I think it's more playable than Tricky and ESPN to me, but
sure,
I like Devil's Crush more.
Same. Yeah, no, I agree.
It's the sum of its package, right? Like,
correct.
I think I like playing I like playing Sunset. Like, its gameplay is phenomenal. It's the 12 hours to get through the game sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I can only take so much of the edgy attitude. I know, like, the collectathon thing, it was fine, but, like, the first time I had to collect so many items to do it was only 5, granted. But, like, the first time I had to collect items to do one of those power grid things, like, ugh.
Yeah.
The side missions, ugh. Like, there's something to a game just being a game and having fun with it. And that's what Devil's Crush is.
Yeah.
Like, it's pinball, right? Like, there's a board, have fun. But at least it's not filled with crap.
True. No, I like where we put it in the list. And I like that we all knew right where it goes right away. Oh, man. The list is going to keep getting fun. In fact, next week, we're going to find out where The Legend of Zelda The Minish Cap ranks on the list. If you've never played The Minish Cap, now's your week to do it. I'm stoked to talk about this one with you guys. Minish Cap, one of the few gaps in my Zelda history. So we'll do that. We're going to also celebrate a bit of Zelda history next week, just for fun. And that's that. Thanks for hanging out and talking Sunset Overdrive with us. Looking forward to the next episode of Season 10. Come back next week. Tell your friends about it. Let us know if there's any game you would like to see added to the list. We've got a few weeks worth buffering here throughout 2022. Podcast at thefreecheese.com. You can also ask us any of those roundtable questions you want to hear, suggest who would win in a fight topics, any of that stuff, any of the regular topics we've been doing or segments this year. If you want to contribute something, you want to hear something added to the podcast at thefreecheese.com. You can send email for free, no charge. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. See you next week.